Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. You know, my name's Chad. Take a dive into sports. And round two of the NHL Playoffs have concluded. Once again, some unfamiliar foes, or familiar foes, depending on how you look at it. But this way, of the Final Four, I only got one right that's in here. So, it's just... Why do I bother doing this to myself? I don't know. It's definitely a painstaking coming up. But once again, playoff hockey is the second season. You get to throw the regular season out. Records don't mean squat. Look at Boston. The last team getting the playoffs is still one of the last teams remaining. It's a fun time. Definitely a controversial I think second round as well. But before I dive into all of that, if you could go ahead and give me that thumbs up, especially like the content provider, really praise you two guys, really help prompt this channel out. You also subscribe, like you guys review my work, and that means you subscribe. It's cost you a dime. That's me providing more time value for you. Now, I want to reiterate what I said before. The whole self-promotion thing is. I think the officiating in the second round has been controversial. There's been so many high sticks that were not called. Cross-checks not called. Interference not called. It's just like the referees are like, you know what, you guys just do each other. As long as you don't lose teeth, we don't care. That's pretty much inconsistent with what they've been doing all season. So why are you going to come up with different rules for playoffs compared to regular season? Now, understand the refs don't want to be a factor in deciding games, because that's been the common thread in the NFL. The refs deciding the outcomes of games because they keep calling penalties. Well, they wouldn't call the penalties if the players would behave themselves and play by the rules. High sticking is dangerous. I saw it in the game with the final game of the Edmonton series, where one of the Edmonton players got hit in the stick, was not called, and he went to the ref, showed him his face, and he was cut and bleeding. No call. Seeing Evander Kane use his stick against the bridge of a nose of players. No call. I understand you might let a few things go a little bit more. You won't be as testy with cross checks as you might be. But high stickings is one of those you can't do. You also have to look at when they're on the boards. You don't want these guys hitting their heads against the boards because they don't know what's going on. There's been a few of those calls that weren't kind of made. A little interference here and there. Okay, I get that one. It's just playoff hockey, I get that. But I'm more attuned for player safety, and high sticks to the face is not player safety. But I saw that in pretty much all the games I watched with some type of calls that should have been called that were not. So you can take it as it is, and I think the refs should really clamp down on the Final Four, but we'll see how the kind of goes. Well, let's go ahead and just go over the round two matchups. And when Toronto got past the first round, which I predicted, the fans were screaming, "We want Florida." Be careful what you wish for. Florida went in that series and smacked the blue right off the Maple Leafs. They jumped up 3-0 on them. Took it in Toronto. Took the first two games in Toronto quite handedly. They were forechecking like no one's business. They were setting up on the opponent's end of the ice, looking for steals. And they were getting it. The only saving grace the Maple Leafs had was in Game 4 when they ended up forcing the Game 5, bring it back to Toronto. Fans were getting a little antsy, getting booed early because Florida jumped out early. But Toronto was able to tie it up and went to overtime. And just Johnny on a spot I had Toronto winning this one, heading to I had Toronto going to the conference finals. So I had a lot of hopes for this Maple Leafs team, and Florida went au contraire more fair. We might be the last team into the dance, but we're here to make a statement. And they just dominated Toronto and beat them 4-1. Now, in the other series in East was between Carolina and New Jersey. Now, with the New Jersey, I had them getting this far. I had them getting beat by the All-Stars of the Rangers, and they got past them. But I still said this one's going to go 7, just how pesky the the Devils are. And when the Devils jumped up that 2-0 right away with quite impressive scores, combined 11-2. It looked like it was going to be a long day for the Devils, but once they went back to Newark, back to the Rock, they just hammered the Hurricanes, weathered the storm, doubled them up 8-4. It's one of the worst performances of the Panthers. Excuse me, confusing my sports here. One of the worst performances of the Hurricanes thus far this postseason, coughing up 8 goals. But they turned around and smacked them again. Their defense, besides that one game, has been phenomenal. Where the Devils were just, averaging a little over a goal in the 4 wins the Hurricanes had. And Carolina just flew past the Devils in 5 to have them set up with Florida. So, but before we get to the Eastern Finals, let's go ahead and cover the West. And I'll start off with Vegas and Edmonton. This is the matchup I already had predicted. I had Edmonton winning in 7. I had a lot of praise for Edmonton. I thought this is the time frame for Draisaitl and McDavid to etch their name on the cup, along with the other greats of the Edmonton Oilers. Not so much. It was goaltending that was kind of the issue. Hill has shown that he is one of the top tier goaltenders. Skinner had games where he got kicked out, and then they had to go back to the backup. And this series actually went back and forth for a bit, and it was just like wild swings. One team with Golden Knights dominated game 1, 6-4, but then the Oilers came in and dominated game 2. The Knights dominated game 3, and the Oilers came in and dominated game 4. Just wild swings where all of a sudden, all your offense is working and the defense didn't have anything to do with it. And then the next day, the roles reversed. But the next 2 games, a little bit closer affair. That's when I think the Knights went back to their bread and butter and how they operate. And Edmonton has been showing signs of weaknesses here and there, especially on home ice and coughing up goals. And that's what ended up happening. Knights took game 5, 4-3, to send it back to Edmonton, looking to close it out. I thought Edmonton was going to come in and force this to go to 7 games. Not the case. The Knights came in and just smacked them around 5-2, sending the Knights to their 4th conference final in 6 years. They've only been around 6 years. This team was given golden opportunities when they started, and they have taken that and ran. The only thing they're really missing is a Stanley Cup. They've already made it to the finals. That was their first year of existence. A never heard of before, except when the NHL doubled in size. That was the last time an expansion team went all the way to the finals. And that was the St. Louis Blues. But, it's just, one of the things that, to give Vegas all their luck. Now, the other series had a surprise team in there as well in Seattle. Now, for the Kraken, I didn't think they were quite ready to be in the playoff picture this year, but they got the 100 points. Very good season. Didn't really have any star power on the offense. Grubauer has been more good than bad, which has kind of helped the Kraken became, one of these top tier teams. edged out Game 1 in overtime. And this series is actually one of these that actually went back and forth. Then Game 2, the Stars stood up the Kraken, and we went back in Seattle. The Kraken just jumped all over the Stars, and just, the Stars had no answer for them whatsoever. But then the Stars actually came back and won the next 2 games to put the Kraken on the heels. The Kraken went back into the depths of the sea and just bided their time and struck in Game 6. Then up the Stars 6-3 to send the series to a Game 7 where it was a defensive showdown. Defenses stepped up. Goaltenders were standing on their heads, making wild saves. And only 3 mistakes. That's all it was. That's all you really need. Sometimes you only need that one. But there's only 3 mistakes made. Led to 3 separate goals. Stars ended up edging out the Kraken 2-1 to force and win this series to set up their date with Vegas. So now, the Final Four, with only one team that I picked to win it, still in it. Or the one team I had in there is still in it. And let's go back to the East with Florida and Carolina. This is going to be a wild series. Florida is a very tenacious team. They don't back down at all. But Carolina is no pushover either. Sebastian Aho is definitely a force you have to worry about. Martin Nook is another one you have to look at as well. He has 10 total points as well as Aho. But is Matthew Tkachuk of the Panthers that is right now number 2 of the active postseason points. Most of the other ones are Edmonton Oilers and 1 star. He's going to be a key factor. If you can minimize his effectiveness and be able to handle Verhaeghe as well, as to be benefiting from Tkachuk's performances. If you can withstand a lot of these attacks by this particular team, I'm more leaning towards keeping my my prediction after my preseason prediction, mind you, of keeping this Hurricanes in there. And I don't know, there's just something about Carolina that I kind of like seeing. These are definitely very talented group of individuals. Have worked very well. They perform. I think they'll be able to handle the surge that the Panthers will provide. It will be a tough series. I am going 7 games still. This is what I've been doing for a while. Just not changing how many games a team will win. But I will say the excuse me. I'm missing the Carolina Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Jeez. But I believe the Hurricanes will end up winning this series in 7, making it back to the Stanley Cup Finals. On the other side, you have Dallas and Vegas. Right now, I think the star you have to watch out for is the Dallas Stars. Senator Rube Hintz, who has 19 points overall, who is number 2 overall right now of the players in the postseason for most points scored in the postseason. McDavid's no longer playing, so he's bound to surpass him. He is having a Conn Smythe type of year or playoff. He has been Johnny on the spot. Definitely. Jason Robertson's another young talent that's stepped up to kind of help out. Jake Ottinger has been just on point with making the saves. Yeah, no, he had some bad games against Seattle, and Vegas is definitely a more potent offense you have to worry about. And the Stars definitely had little issues with Minnesota and Seattle, but these are 2 very good teams. Vegas had no issues with Winnipeg in their first round series, which I think no one had Winnipeg winning that one, except for diehard Jets fans. But Eichel has come to own with Vegas, and Mark Stone's another one you have to watch out for as well. So there's definitely some firepower on both sides of the rink, and the goaltenders are going to be another key matchup between Hill and Ottinger. Ottinger held his own against Grubauer in the last round, and Hill was able to withstand the firepower of the Edmonton Oilers. So this is definitely one that I can actually see go 7 again. I'm baiting back and forth on which one to go with because of the nature of this. I went in a lead towards Vegas because of what Hill's been doing, especially when he did against Edmonton. But Dallas just has this tenacity that they continue to stick around, and it's amazing to see how some of these players have taken their opportunities and ran with it, basically. So for me, I am going to go with the Stars in 7. I would not be surprised if Vegas wins, so this is probably another one I'm going to probably get wrong as well. It tends to be my MO this playoff, not get anything right. The only thing I got right for sure was that Dallas would beat Seattle in 7 games, and then Carolina would beat the Devils. So that will put the Carolina and Dallas in the finals. But my new Stanley Cup favorite's Carolina, so it seems to be a curse. Sorry, Hurricanes, if it happens to come true. But yeah, this is playoff hockey. This is, like I said, the best time of the year. You can watch these games. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals will take effect on Thursday, May 18th, out there in Raleigh, North Carolina. Should be a fun, entertaining game. Definitely, I would, watch those games, and then they'll go either or. And like I said, I'm going with Carolina and Dallas winning in the conference finals to make a showdown for the Stanley Cup, and see who's going to win another cup between those two. But hey, just let me know down below what you think. Which team surprised you the most? That's probably Florida. Which team were you rooting for that got bounced? And who's your favorite now? Just let me know down below. Once you're down there, you can also hit the thumbs up once again. You can also share this video with your friends and family. It helps promote the video out. Once you subscribe, make sure you click that bell icon and turn on notifications. Next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.